Well, hello there, Jason D'Souza coming to you from Tokyo. And the news here is that Prime Minister Sane Takaichi has called an election on the 8th of February. And what's extraordinary about that is that, what is it today, the 20th of January is the short time frame in which has been set for this election to take place. Certainly in our country, Australia, we'd have much longer periods. Certainly in the United States, they campaign for months and months and months, even a year or more to hold an election. But not so here in Japan. There'll be a very fast snap election on the 8th of February. Sane Takaichi took over as Prime Minister from Prime Minister Ishiba in October. In fact, I was here at the time when the last election was on, so it seems that every time I turn up here there appears to be election season. What's driving this? Well, the Liberal Democratic Party here is in a minority government, which is very unusual. They have been in power for some 50 years in Japan. They were in a coalition with a group called Komeito, and that party, interestingly enough, has left the coalition when Prime Minister Takaichi took office and has now formed a new centrist party with another party, and they are taking on and they formed a new party, which again is pretty interesting in Japanese politics. Prime Minister Takaichi enjoys a 78% approval rating. Her cabinet is very popular here, which is one of the reasons why she has launched into a snap election to try and solidify her power base and get a proper majority in the lower house that will allow her to pass some legislation without endless negotiations. We have some experience of that, of course. We frequently have minority senates in Australia, and even minority governments. If we look back to the time of Prime Minister Gillard and her minority government, and of course the Europeans are continually afflicted by this sort of governance. So where you can enjoy a majority, it's worthwhile, and if you've got the opportunity to take one, you should take it. What's driving some of the concerns in Japan? Well, as I said in the previous video, Japan wants to grow its economy. It is fighting a whole range of different issues. Demographics is often the one we talk about. There's a real push here for people to have children. Once again, they're reviewing migration laws here to look at how they can supplement their workforce here. They're doing big investments into technology. Prime Minister Takaichi is also addressing some of the sort of more basic concerns around cost of living, which seems to be an international thing. She has proposed no tax on food, for example, and that seems to be a very popular policy, and attacking other things as well in terms of retirement savings and wages, how they're invested. Very common themes that again we see in our own country. The other thing that I think is very, very interesting here is that the Prime Minister has really focused her first few months in office on foreign policy and taking a far more hawkish position on some of the things that Japan has traditionally been more quiet about. She's had a series of foreign policy leadership visits here in Japan. She hosted the Prime Minister of Korea, where they had a very interesting drumming experience between the two of them. It's not something you'd see Western leaders do. Two Asian leaders behind a drum kit. I thought that was kind of cool. She also hosted Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni of Italy, highlighting Japan's interest in really becoming more involved in foreign policy. And of course, famously, she had a very good meeting with President Trump and is looking to continue to build relations with the United States of America and Japan's relationship with the United States of America. Japan, of course, signed a pretty good trade deal with the Americans after the Liberation Day tariffs that sort of put it in a pretty good position. Japanese companies are very welcome in the United States. While I've been here, Mitsubishi did a big deal in gas in the United States, and of course car companies continue to do very well in America. So that's putting it in pretty good stead. Look, these snap elections can go two ways. Prime Minister Ishiba, before in the last election, had an attempt at this. It didn't go well and ended up in a minority government, which pretty much hampered his government, and he was gone sort of in 12 months. So who knows? My pick, I think, she's a very popular figure here in Japan at the moment. Many of the companies here feel that her policy of showing more strength in Japanese politics is good for Japan. There are some concerns in financial markets about her predilection towards spending more money and more fiscal looseness. That Japan already has a very high debt load. Do we really want to be spending more money? The only comment I'd make around that is that seems to be a trend across all governments. Our own government is pretty good at wanting to spend more money, and certainly we see that across the board. The debt loads of all Western nations and more advanced economies are very, very high, and there doesn't really seem to be that much interest in sort of addressing those sorts of issues these days. But that's perhaps for another video. So that's the news here out of Tokyo. We'll see an election here in Japan on the 8th of February, and fascinating to see how it will go, and really in terms of what that means for Japan in the future, how it will continue to address itself in the world. I know from my Japanese friends here, they still see a great opportunity for Japanese and Australian companies to work together. I think we continue as Australians to have a very, very positive and warm relationship with Japan. That it's not just a people-to-people thing, it's certainly a business thing. And I see a lot more partnerships coming together. So thanks very much. I'll see you on the next one.